Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Very much appreciate it, especially on a holiday week. It's wonderful to see so many people. I was taking a guess at the over-under was 15, so we're doing really well. Thank you. I want to say a special thank you to everyone who's watching on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in. As we do this, and we do this every couple of months, there's an opportunity for everyone in the room to ask questions. There'll also be an opportunity for all of you at home to ask questions. So we've got Mary Katie on standby here monitoring all of the feedback that we're getting from you. If you have a question that you want to ask, just email it to campusconversation@sou.edu. In fact, I think Mike and some of his magic may be putting that on the bottom of the screen if you're watching at home. And shout out to my mom and dad who are watching. Thank you, and I love you. Thank you for being there. Speaking of love, I heard through the grapevine that that I use that word, love, so much that our faculty and staff have used it as a drinking game now. So if you have some hot cider at home and you're playing bingo, I've already blown through it a couple of times, and I'm not going to stop. I'm going to lean into it. Okay, so super grateful to have all of you. I do want to start with some words of gratitude. Can I ask everyone who works in the Stevenson Union, can you stand up so we can acknowledge you, our host for the event? Okay, already standing. Yes, thanks, Alex. Appreciate you hosting us as always. Special thank you to Campus Public Safety. Special thank you to our facilities and custodial staff for everything you do. We have two members of our Board of Trustees who are here. So I want to say a special thank you to Barry Thalden. Thank you for being here. Yes, and we have a very new board member, our very own Ashley King, who is here. So welcome, Trustee King. Okay, so we have, in some ways, we have a little bit of a shortened agenda today. How many of you are starting your Thanksgiving holiday right after this meeting? How many of you are actually going to start but don't want your supervisors to know? Okay. For those watching, a lot of hands went up, a lot of hands. And strangely, all people who work directly for me. Okay, so here's our overview, what we want to do. We want to kind of catch up from our opening breakfast. We have some faculty members who are retiring this year, who the faculty have granted emeritus status and have voted on emeritus status, and so I want to recognize them. Then we have President Sophia Smith, who is here, who's going to give us an ASSOU update. We're going to go through some budget update numbers. I'm going to talk about and reveal something called Project Architect. I put the smiley face because I'm super excited about it. And then we'll talk about our strategic plan. All of this actually weaves together, and then finish with some upcoming events so that everyone has their calendars ready as we head into the holiday week. Okay, I'm not sure if my guess is not all of these folks are here, but I want to take a moment to recognize Bill and Patricia and Margaret, Vicki, Doug, and Lady. Are any of them with us today? Please give them our gratitude. Please give them our love. Let's just give them a round of applause for their dedicated service. On our way in, Mary Katie and I saw Bill Hughes walking away from the Stevenson Union, so definitely give him some grief when you talk to him. Okay, without further ado, we have a microphone, and so let me introduce Sophia Smith.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sophia Smith. I'm the ASSOU president. Every year, ASSOU compiles a couple of goals, and this year, I'm happy to share with you, we have 3 task forces. They're going to be focused on community health and safety, transportation, and community outreach, both internal and external. So those are the little works to keep your eyes on for the year. I'm happy to answer more questions about those later. God, I love to talk about what I'm going to be doing this year. Truly, I do. Don't get me started. Dennis knows. And then ASSOU, another shameless plug, we have a food and hygiene drive that is currently ongoing. You all should have gotten an email about it from me yesterday. Our drive runs until November 12th. We have 2 donation points on campus, which are going to be in Churchill Hall. please come and donate. Please support our student food pantry. We are struggling to meet the demands of students. And I mean, we all know we love students in this room. So come and give us all a hand. And I believe that's all I have to share. Thank you.
Thank you. I love that our students every year, they think about the things that are most important to them, and it changes every year. And in a way, because we have these new voices and these new leaders who come in and say, hey, we really need to think about transportation. We really need to think about health and safety. We need to think about outreach. That's really, it times perfectly with what we're trying to do as an institution. And so the fact that our students are leading the way for us, I think, is really helpful. That's a testament to Sophia and her heads of government and everyone in ASSOU. So very much look forward to working with them. Okay, let's talk about budget updates. The first slide I'm going to show you is going to be super scary. And then the next slide I'm going to show you is going to be better. And they're going to get progressively better. And you'll see why. I made it easier, too. And by the way, anything that's easy to read or simple is thanks to Mary Katie, not me. I made it more complicated, and she refined it. What you're looking at is what we saw in May. This was our trajectory in May. And just to put it very, very simply, we looked at the current fiscal year, the following 2 fiscal years, and in green you see the projected revenues, in red you see the projected costs, and then the difference between the two, and then where's the relation, revenues or costs? If it's red, you probably know that costs are exceeding revenue. FY26 and FY27 looked really scary, right? That led to the horrible summer that we had and all of the challenges that we faced together as an institution. Here's what this looks like now. Now, I want to be very clear. This is a snapshot, and it is the result of the work that we did with the resiliency plan. And there are people who sacrificed to get us to this place, so I want to acknowledge that too. But we should also see that this is not necessarily a rosy picture. It's a help, and we're not completely underwater. But for our current fiscal year and our next fiscal year, we are looking to be above the waterline by some, not a lot, but some. But then by FY28, we dip back under the water a little bit. Okay, I'm going to give credit to Trustee Thalden and Trustee King and the rest of our board. We had some really, really good discussions about this. And this is where I, as your president, need to accept some responsibility for, if I could go back, what I should have done is this. I should have put those 2 words on everything that I did. Current trajectory, right? This is our current trajectory. That is, if we don't do anything differently, we're probably on this track. But what I also need to do, and what we need to do, is say, okay, what if we just don't accept that? What are the things that we can do to get us off of that current trajectory? And if you see, especially when we're talking about small numbers, relatively small numbers, sometimes little things that we do can actually make big effects for our institution and actually put us on a different path. How many of you, show of hands, how many people have heard me talk at graduation? Okay. How many people have remembered anything that I've said at graduation? Okay, so for the people at home, there was the sea of hands and then a sea of no hands. One of the things I say is that one of the things we're really proud of at our institution is that we teach students how to be architects. We teach them how to be the architects of the future that they want for themselves. We give them the tools to do that, and then we celebrate that pathway, what it looks like. I think we can take a page out of that playbook. I always I use a quote. It's one of my favorite quotes. It's from a futurist named Alan Kay, who once said, the best way to predict the future is to invent it. You've heard me say this, right? The best way to predict the future is to invent it. What if we all decided to invent the future that we all deserve? And what if we all committed to each other that we are going to be the architects of that future that all of you work so hard to do, not just for our students, but for our university? That's what today's going to be. That's current trajectory, right? Imagine if we could go up 1%, 1% in first year enrollment, 1%. And if we could go up 1% in first year retention, and even better, 1% in overall student retention. Does anyone have a guess, other than Zach? Does anyone have a guess of what a 1% increase in first year enrollment is, number of students? Any guesses? 8. If we go up 8 students, that's a 1% increase in first year enrollment. Roughly, this is back of the napkin math, okay? Roughly, if we go up 1% in first year enrollment and we go up 1% in first year retention, the difference for our financial picture is about $200,000. So look at this picture. And now look at that picture. We are in single digit, we're talking about single digit changes to what we do. And yet you can start to see that it turns the corner for the institution, right? So that we're not on a definite pathway or a 3-year glide slope into getting back underwater. We can make the changes that we need to do. By the way, if we go up 1% in overall student credit hours, 1%, the difference is $450,000 for our finances. And it's not impossible for us to do that. Even in the environment, even with the demographic cliff, even with all of the headwinds that are against us, this is something that we can do. I know we can do. So that's why today I want to introduce something called Project Architect. The reason I call it that is because it sounds super cool, and it sounds kind of, with my military background, maybe it seems like a Project Blue Book or something like that. Project Architect means we decide as an institution that we are going to change our trajectory and design the future that we all deserve. It came from a very strange, there was a very strange inspiration for this idea. I know I'm going to date a lot of people in this room, but how many people have ever flown on Continental Airlines? Okay, there's some. How many people have flown recently on Continental Airlines? Okay, now you're lying. Okay, Rob Patridge, but he painted his own airplane. Okay, so I have a list of books that are on my shelf that people have given to me, and I'm always a couple of years behind. And one of them was a book called, and the title of the book is really telling. The title of the book is From Worst to First. That's the title of the book. And it was written by a guy named Gordon Bethune, who was the former CEO of Continental Airlines. When he took over in 1992-ish, Dennis is currently reading the book, so he's going to tell me all the ways in which I'm wrong, what I get wrong here. And I'm sure the people at home will too. When he took over, of the top 10 major airlines in the country, Continental was always 9th or 10th. Always. It was always sitting at the bottom of that list. How do you think airlines are judged? What are the ways in which airlines are judged? Probably not complicated, right? On-time takeoffs. Number of bags lost. By the way, show of hands, how many people have ever lost a bag at an airline? Okay, sea of hands, everyone. Oh gosh. Wow. Okay, following this address, Sage is going to talk about her nightmare story. Yeah, there's no excuse for that. Okay, so on-time takeoffs, bags lost, mechanical problems, complaints from passengers, right? These are all things, the ways in which airlines are judged. But of all of those, the one that really has the biggest impact on their health, their fiscal health as an airline, is on-time takeoffs. And if you think about it from a business perspective, anytime a plane is late, well, the airline has to make up for that somehow, right? Not only are people like missing their connections and all that, but now sometimes they got to put people in hotels. Sometimes they got to pay meal vouchers. How many of you have ever been recipients of that kind of stuff? Okay. So airlines have to pay for that. And when Gordon Bethune started at Continental Airlines, he and the chief financial officer started looking at it, and they said, hey, you know what? We're losing $5 million a month just from late takeoffs. They were always 9th or 10th of those 10 airlines. They were always 9th or 10th in on-time takeoffs. And $5 million a month is a lot. Even for an airline, that's a lot of money. So they got together and said, okay, what would happen if we got to 5th place? We don't need to be first, but what if we just could get into the top 5? What would that do? And when they looked at the analysis, they said, you know what? If we can get into the top 5, that'll save us $2.5 million a month. Just if we do that. Nothing else. If we can do that. So they came up with this crazy idea, and they reached out to all 40,000 of their employees, and they said, hey, everybody, if we can go from 9th or 10th to 5th in on-time takeoffs for a month, for a specific month, we're going to give every employee $65. If we hit that mark, we're going to give everyone $65. And maybe more importantly, we're going to empower people to be creative in how we get better. Now, it doesn't mean that, hey, there's only one wing here, let's take off anyways. It wasn't that crazy. It was not reckless, but they did empower people to make decisions in order to move the institution forward. You probably know where I'm going with this. A couple months after they did this, they moved from 10th and 9th to 5th. A couple of months. And they gave their first checkout to all those employees. 2 months later, they had moved from 1st to 2nd. And a month after that, they had moved from 2nd to 1st. And they stayed at 1st or 2nd for the next 4 years. Okay, this isn't a lesson. You know, you are all far brighter than I am as we start to talk about these things. But my guess is it wasn't just about the money for those employees. If for some of them it was, if there are a few of them that was the only thing that motivated them, okay. We can live with that. But I think something different happened in that they recognized that all of them, all 40,000 people, were united for a common goal. Okay. So my question is, what is our on-time takeoff stat? I think there's 2. What are the things that we get measured by that really ultimately determine the health of the institution, the fiscal health of the institution? Probably not a shocker. It's enrollment and retention, right? You saw the budget numbers. I showed you if we just go up 1% in first-year enrollment and 1% in first-year retention, that's what the numbers look like. If we go up 1% in overall student credit out, this is what our numbers go up like. So Project Architect is our goal to craft our future. By the way, this is a starting point. I want us to go after a 1%. This is for FY26. So we have from now till Census Day, which is October 2026, to go first-year increase in first-year enrollment from fall of 25, and a 1% increase in overall institutional student retention. Okay, it's one thing to set a goal. I put down something, by the way, this is a discussion, and this is something that we can all kind of work on together, but let me just give you a couple of things. One is that I think I'm going to give credit to Professor Slattery for this. We need to acknowledge that there are a lot of people, and a lot of people in this room, and a lot of people who are watching, who do amazing things every day. I say publicly to the media, I'm inspired every day by something I see in a way in which a student is taking care of another student, in a way that faculty or staff members are taking care of students or taking care of each other. Every day I see something that inspires me that way. And I'm sure there are ways in which you see that in each other. So what I don't want to do is say what we have been doing isn't great. It is. So I don't want to diminish anything that we already do. I want to acknowledge our current service. And this is a yes and. Yes, I want to acknowledge that there are big things and little things that we can do to hit this mark. Big things and little things. I'll give you one example in a second. I stopped Sophia before we started, and I have a meeting that she's been gracious to set up with her heads of government. I think student inputs to this are the key. And I'm gonna use something that Carrie Vath said that I think that you got off a TED Talk, or the lollipop moment. This is an idea, and this is the idea that I want to bring to ASSOU. I would love to and it wouldn't cost us a lot. I would love to flood students with a plethora of lollipops, to give them this cache of lollipops that they can use. Now, I know students' relationships to lollipops, meaning we are going to lose some of this in transit, and we're going to lose some of it to just student use. I get that. But the idea would be that when a faculty or staff member does something out of their way to show support for a student, that there's this little token, whether it's a lollipop or something, there's a little token that person would then go, that student would then go to that person the day after or the next day and give them this lollipop and say, I really appreciate what you did. You made a difference for me. How many of us have heard stories like that where someone has made a difference for someone? All of us have done that, right? I want us to capture that. I also want to say, in addition to the lollipop, I also want to know what those things are. And then these Friday messages that at least 35% of you read, which is, thank you for that. I want to start celebrating that. And celebrating people who are doing all of these things. And so it's not just something that one person sees, but it's something we can all share and celebrate. There are ideas that you have that I don't have. There are ideas that you have. There are things that you do that the rest of us in this room don't know. So I also want to share what are those ideas that can help us serve students in ways. And by the way, it's not about working harder. It's not about working harder. If I ask for a show of hands at how many people are working at 100% right now, I already can guess where that's at. And by the way, I know that supervisors will be looking around the room to see whose hands isn't in the air, and then that's a whole different thing. It's a unified goal for us, right? We are all trying to find creative ways to move this forward, and everyone has the answer to that. It's about all of us adopting it together. I want us to have a common reward. And by the way, I'm going to be looking to our faculty senate, staff assembly, ASSOU. So sharing governance partners, I would love the union partners to weigh in on this too. What is something that if we hit that target, what is something we can do for each other? And I would want every employee to benefit from it somehow. What is that thing? Is it a $65 thing? Is it a 3-day pass for everyone? Is it a big party? Is it whatever it is? I would love ideas, but I think we should decide, and we should decide soon. What is that common goal that we're going after? I will also say, this is selfishly, I think the goal is important, but I almost think that is more symbolic. I think it will be the effort and the sharing and the celebrating and all of the things we're doing culturally that actually will move us that way. And I think that we need to make sure that we're celebrating all of our team members this way. He doesn't know that because I wanted to give an example of this, and he doesn't know that I was going to call on him. But I think I saw Ian earlier. Is Ian in the room? Okay, yes. So secretly hiding in the back. So let me give you an example. Ian, behind the scenes, from our facilities team, behind the scenes has been working on a project to get, right now our postal service, our mail service, sits down in facilities. And so what Ian has been doing very quietly behind the scenes is trying to figure out a way to move those services to the Stevenson Union. And there's one reason to do that. And the reason to do that is to make it easier for students, right? Because now I think that there would be a connection with print and copy and some other things. So, I don't think anyone told him to do that. These are the kind of things that I want us to celebrate, right? The things that we're doing to make students' lives easier and better, those are the things that move the needle on this. So thank you for your leadership and what you're doing, and whatever we can do to help you with that, let's do it. I also want to, let's do it. Yeah, Ian, thank you. I'm also going to ask, where's Bree and Mary Katie? I'm going to give Zach the mic for a second. So I wanted Zach to share, because there's also big things that we can do, right? There's big ideas. There's things that we can do differently where everyone can benefit. But it's really about kind of changing our habits and changing our bureaucracy so it doesn't create more work. It actually, in many ways, makes things more efficient, and also can kind of be game changer. So I want to talk about promo code. Can you give us
no pressure here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick. So this kind of stemmed out of an idea from Trustee Thalden. They're at the last Board of Trustee meeting. So that in combination with faculty senate and just kind of in the current climate that we're in, a lot of folks wanting to know, what can we do? How can I help? Okay, how can I help? And then let's put in the context of recruiting students. Okay, how can I help? I dress like this, a walking billboard, all the time. Okay, all the time, everywhere I go, no matter what. A number of you are out in the community. You're always talking to people, telling about how great SOU is. Okay, even I don't carry around like boxes of brochures and stuff with me. Okay, so that's always what's a very, very simple way when I'm having a conversation one-on-one. Maybe it's this Thanksgiving. I'm sitting down and my nephew, I'm interested in SOU. Oh, I don't have a stack of brochures on me or anything. No, but I have this. This is my prototype. It's called the Raider Influencer Card.
Can we zoom in on that for the people that don't? Okay. Don't zoom in on my teeth, but zoom in. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Essentially, it's a credit card, basically. Well, okay. Let's back up. It's not a credit card. There's no money on this.
Hold it back. Take it easy. Take it easy.
It's plastic. On one side, it has QR codes to an inquiry form and the application form. On the other side, it's customized with a personal promo code. Mine is Visor. It's already been taken. Okay. President Bailey's will be Bubbles.
Oh man.
Call sign Bubbles.
Yep.
Yep. So basically, it's something that we can all carry around in your wallet, right? And it's very simple. It's like the conversation. Oh yeah. Well, and how cool is your nephew going to be like? Oh wow, you've got your own promo code. They gave you your own promo code. Yeah, big time at SOU, right? And there's a little incentive, right? And then we can kind of track it. And then I can see Trustee Thalden, right, when he's going to get at least 10 this Thanksgiving, right?
And tell us what the promo code does for the student.
So the promo code, when you apply for admission, is going to waive your application fee. Okay, we'll get it on the inquiry form, and then we can start tracking. We can do all kinds of cool things, right? We can have competitions for how many people. I'm a coach. I always go to competitions, right? But it's really nice because then as President Bailey's talking about being able to recognize people, I think that's really cool to be like, hey, yeah, you went out, Prez, and look, you've got, I see 4 bubbles on there, promo code, from the holiday, right? And so it's just a very easy way to be able to carry something around and do it. So that is just kind of a small idea bred out of people wanting to help. So at scale, what if, think about it, what if every faculty, staff, and administrator had one of these? What if every alumni had one of these? What if every student had one of these? Students are influencers just as much as anybody else. So it's just it's a small thing that maybe has some legs. I've hijacked a card machine because I want to be able to do these on campus. So I have one of the card printers. So I'm learning how to use the software. So hopefully we can roll this out here as we go over break. In the meantime, this weekend, sorry, I'm over my allotted time. If you are working with students, promo code Let's Go Rocky. Okay, promo code Rocky, and that'll be a collective initiative. Maybe I'll report back here early and see how many promo code Rockies. Again, it'll waive the application fee. 1%, if you're doing the math, that's like 30 additional applications. We can do more than that. Okay, I know we can.
Yeah.
Tracy? What do you mean? Oh, the promo code goes on the admissions application. Thank you. At the end of the admissions application, when they fill it out, promo code Rocky. Okay, very simple. Yeah, very simple. Promo code Rocky. You can all go recruit. That's how we're going to spend our holidays, recruiting.
That again.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
Kudos. Thank you, Zach. Okay, so these are the kind of ideas. These are the things that I know we can move mountains with. Okay, thank you. Project Architect. This fits nicely within the strategic plan. You're going to see a lot, a better picture of what this looks like. But as you remember, SOU Thrive, and what we want to do strategically is envision a future where students are thriving, where our team, faculty and staff are thriving, and where the institution's thriving. Because I am a former military person, and I think two-dimensionally sometimes, and it's terrible, I kind of have put it all in this kind of big clunky box. It's not going to look like that. It's going to be far more accessible for us as a campus community. But what we're building toward are objectives, right? And so in working with all of you, and then ultimately with our Board of Trustees, this is what that picture is looking like. And again, we'll pretty it up. It's interesting because just Project Architect, I just did a quick kind of analysis. If you look at the objectives for each of these three main areas, and if I green up the things that Project Architect touches, it's all of that with just what we're doing now. All of that. This is where we're headed, everybody. This is where we're headed. Okay. Upcoming events. Can we, let's see, is Stephanie in the room by any chance? Or leadership of staff assembly? Stacy? Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Anything you want to say about the holiday celebration? Oh, yeah. Hold up. Because for the people at home,
December 16th, Stacy, Service Committee, or Tracy can say more.
So the Staff Assembly's holiday celebration is going to be Tuesday, December 16th from 3:30 to 5 right over here in the ASSOU Lounge. We'll have hot holiday drinks and some cookies. You're more than welcome to bring, if you have a favorite finger food or something you'd like to share and show off, you're more than welcome, but should be a good time.
Thank you, Tracy. And are we doing sweater?
Oh, yes. Please dress in your holiday attire. I think we're going to have a bit of a holiday attire competition again, and we may have like an icebreaker games, things like that. So.
There were some ugly sweater, I think it was an ugly sweater contest last year. I still have nightmares from some of the ones I saw. So, yeah, take it out. Thank you. And thanks to the Staff Assembly for doing that. I think it's so important for us to come together. We have our Board of Trustees meetings on January 15th and 16th. So please, it's open to the public and open, obviously, to our campus community. Please feel free to attend that. We have our Dr. MLK celebration is taking place at the Ashland Armory. That'll be on January 19th. Our preview days are, I think, double check this with me, Zach, but I think we have preview days scheduled for February 27th and April 10th. Zach had mentioned this yesterday, but I do want to point out that, this culture that we have, that we should celebrate right now for who we are as a culture. One of the best things that we do is preview days, and someone told Zach recently, and it was a family and a prospective student who had been to several of these preview days, and he hears this every time. Like, of all the preview days we have, this is always the best one of all the ones we experience. And the reason for that, I mean, Zach's good and his team is good, but he'll be the first to tell you it's because we have faculty and staff who are really invested, and that's what makes the difference for these preview days. So please put those on your calendar. Our next campus conversation is scheduled for March the 5th. And I do want to give the mic to Dennis, because I know we have Festival of Lights. And then we want to ask if there's any other dates that you want to share with the campus.
Why, oh, why, oh, why. Hey, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
It's wonderful to have a little break here. What I'm asked to talk about is Friday, the Festival of Lights downtown, Santa's arrival. You might recognize the voice somewhere along the way. But it's a great time. 10, 15,000 people come to the downtown. We're going to have caroling, all kinds of stuff going on throughout the day. And it's just a lot of fun. And we all deserve just a bit of fun. So
Absolutely.
I hope you have a wonderful break here.
Thank you, sir. Any other dates, any other events that we want to mention? Oh, Andrew?
Next week is concert week in the music recital hall. So on Tuesday night, all these concerts are free. Tuesday night is the Music's rock band concert, 7:30 p.m. Wednesday night is percussion ensemble, 7:30 p.m. Thursday night is the choral concert with Jaron Jorgensen directing. I think they're going to be doing some encores from the Sondheim showcase that I heard a lot about. I didn't get to attend that one, but I heard it was great. Again, 7:30 p.m. And then Tune Off Piano Series, which is not free, but there's a discounted ticket. I think it's $10 for employees. Is Friday night with internationally known pianist performing at 7:30 p.m. on Friday. So again, encourage everybody to come out and see our events.
Beautiful. Thanks, Andrew. Anyone else? Okay. Let me open up with questions, and then after that, I'll have just some closing remarks. And how are we doing? We're doing really well on time.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have about 50 minutes, Rick, so we
Okay.
have plenty of time for questions.
Okay. Questions in the audience?
Comments?
Comments? If not, I've got 5 minutes. Okay. Trustee Felder?
Thank you. Good presentation. Question. So you talked about a goal of 1% more on enrollment and retention. Do you have baseline numbers to give us?
Yeah, very good question. So yes, so to answer your question, yes. So we base those numbers off of Census Day, which this year was October 15th-ish, something like that. So our first year numbers, do you want to? $799.
So it'd have been $7.99 is probably what you saw at the end of fourth week. So 1%. Yeah.
And
So
the other
baseline,
thing,
Trustee Thalden, yeah.
So the other thing that we do is if you look historically at our overall institutional student, actually let's look at first year student retention, and I'll look to Dr. V. It always hovers somewhere between 65 and 69%. And then our overall institutional retention is somewhere in the upper 70s, 76 to 78. So those are benchmarks for us. The thing that was an eye-opener for me is when we start thinking about how, we're not an institution of 100,000 students, right? So relatively small percentages mean relatively small numbers, and it's actually doable. If we talk about the promo codes, and everyone in this room brought one more student to the camp, I'm like, now we're crushing it. That's how close we are to really flipping the script. By the way, and you've been very good about making sure that we're highlighting this. And this is not news to anyone here, and I'm sure it's not news to anyone who's watching remotely. Enrollment and retention are fundamentally different activities. They're still based on love. Where's Karen Stone? but they're fundamentally different. When we think about enrollment, we need to be thinking about ideas like the promo code, by the way, where everyone has their own individual card. And students all they have to do is just take a picture of the QR code, and now they're plugged directly into us. If we think about what enrollment was like 20 years ago, and what it's still like a lot, is an environment where we are trying to get prospective students, to fill out a contact card that is no bigger than a postcard with their name, contact info. Hey, I'm interested in SOU. That itself is worth its weight in gold. I had an interview today with JPR, and we were talking about our numbers. So a lot of people don't know this. SOU, in terms of headcount, SOU is one of only 3 universities in the state that actually went up in enrollment this fall. And that's pretty remarkable given the summer we've had. Now, we still have to work on SCH, student credit hours, because we have this bubble working through our system because we had lower numbers last year. So it's not just about, hey, let's hit the mark and let's try to do this year. It's let's sustain it. Let's try to do this now where we're actually making a cultural shift where now every year we're going up even slightly, because we do that 4 years in a row, and now we've completely changed the model and our trajectory, right? But I was bragging on JPR because a lot of you have seen this funnel picture before, right? Hey, here are all the students out there in the universe, and then here are the ones who apply, and then of those apply, here, and you start working it down, and at some point you get here are the students who actually show up, right, and make a deposit and start classes. And by the way, that's not unique to us. Every university has this funnel. Well, it's interesting. One interesting, unique fact about SOU is that if you look nationally at what it looks like when students apply versus students who actually start in the fall, the national average is about 15%. So of all the students who apply at this school, at the end of the day, on September 20 whatever, it's 15% of them that actually show up. And that's because students apply to a lot of different schools, and we get that. So 15%, 16% national average. Guess what SOU's percentage is? 31. 31. What does that mean? That means, statistically, if we can get students to apply, we're in a much better position than our peers. We just have to get them to apply. When we think about that funnel, where I think Project Architect is going to go is to say, okay, we know that there's some things that these guys are doing really, really well. And by the way, not just SAC, I would say financial aid, the SSCs, all of the folks who help kind of bring these students in, and by the way, all the faculty members who are doing the same thing. That's great. We're clearly doing better than everyone else in that. So now what we should be thinking about is the top of that funnel that feeds that cone. How do we get more people in that, right? That's one way to do it, the promo code. We're going to start thinking more strategically about how we, looking at the model, how do we make that model work better for us? That's on the enrollment side. On the retention side, I think it's the lollipop. I think it's that stuff. How do we make sure that every student here knows that they belong? And how do we make sure that every student has the support that they need to get to the graduation stage? Right? That's a fundamentally different thing. Still based on good nature, but it's a different endeavor, right? And so our project architect is really looking at this. Sorry for the long answer to your question. Anything else? Okay. Yeah.
I would like to encourage you to look beyond the 18-year-old population. You have this really remarkable asset that's grown at the end of your campus called the Campbell Center with, 1,500 seniors?
1,800 now.
1,800 actively, and you get 1 credit for all your courses over there. I think you ought to be prospecting and recruiting in that population and selling them on getting their BA that they didn't finish, going back for a second master's, funneling them into technology that they don't know anything about and would like to get proficient in. It's a different long-term purpose, but the richness of that education model for that age group. Oh, and by the way, some of your students have been working on a multi-generational gaming center. So that when they build, well, those youngins come over and they sat in one of our classes, and you could just see them gravitate into the interest in what olders were thinking. And of course, one of them was asked to represent the entire generation of 20-somethings, which somebody called them out on. But that multi-generational part of what it takes to keep students engaged and talk to them about what it takes to stay for the whole tour.
Yeah, totally agree. We have a, so this was either last year, I think it was last year. It might have been the year before. We had, and I don't think they'll mind me sharing this. We had a student, Taham, who was did a lot of work with our ROTC cadets. He and his dad, Ken, graduated together. And how many people here have heard of stories or know people who had multi-generations of people in the same family who graduated at the same time? Like, it happens a lot. So I absolutely agree with you. When I say that every student needs to know that they belong here, it is across every way in which you can describe a person. Right? That no matter how old they are, no matter where they're from, no matter what their last name is, no matter what their primary language is, no matter who they love, no matter how they identify themselves, everybody is deserving of that love and respect. And so that's the environment that we're doing. And I agree with you. That should also be how we are thinking universally about prospective students. Thank you for that. Question online? Anything online? Okay. Show of hands, how many people are ready to start the rest of your holiday week? Okay. Well, Dennis Slattery, before I even finish the question, I want to finish with a word of gratitude. Is this, let me ask you just bluntly, when you think about Project Architect, is this something that all of you can embrace? Is this something that we all think we can do together? Show of hands. Okay. Let's go do this. We're going to do this. We're going to change our trajectory. We're going to be the architects of the future we want. We are going to we are going to scratch that winning lottery ticket that we're sitting on and make the most of it. On behalf of all of us at the university, I want to wish you and everyone you love a fantastic holiday week. Thank you for everything that you do, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks, everybody.